Hello, this is Jon Ericson, head of community at College Confidential, and I have with me Anna. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name's Anna Miltenberger, she, her pronouns. I'm the Dean of Admissions at Pacific Northwest College of Art in Portland, Oregon at Willamette University.
So let's see. College of Art. Is this like painting and drawing, or do you have like a wider variety of things that you do?
Yes, great question. So we are an art and design college. We offer bachelor's of fine art degrees and master's in fine art degrees. So we have 10 different majors, 10 minors, and they're all centered around visual arts. So we have everything from painting, general fine arts, which is a more broad studio art practice. We have graphic design, illustration, animated arts, photography, sculpture, printmaking. I could go on. And we also have minors to accompany our majors as well. So we are purely art and design focused.
Awesome. How did you get into that? Did you grow up as an artist and join that way?
Yes, that's a great question. So I've been an artist my whole life, painting, drawing, everything, design, illustration. And so when I was in high school, I knew that was going to be my pathway. So I actually attended a community college for a year, and then I transferred into another ACAD college, which PNCA is part of the ACAD consortium, which I'll get into a little bit later. But I went to an ACAD school, and I have my BFA in illustration and drawing and painting. And then I moved up to Portland in about early 2015, and I've been working at PNCA ever since. So almost 10 years now.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. So illustration, you said, did you do that professionally before you joined the school?
Yeah, so my specialty and my background is illustration and drawing and painting. So I kind of lean towards the more traditional side of illustration and drawing and painting, less so digital. My favorite mediums are oil paint, gouache, watercolor, charcoal. And so I've always loved more traditional art, and I was a art teacher after I graduated college. I was also the photographer for an art walk down in Laguna Beach area. And I still practice today in Portland. I have my own art studio, and I do my own work and commission work as well on the side.
Yeah, that's an awesome side gig because it sounds like you get to do what you love and maybe make a little money on the side, and that sounds great. So you mentioned that you prefer the traditional medium. What for your school, how like what percentage of the work or whatever is likely to be digital? Is that something that you all specialize in, or do you prefer the older styles?
No, we definitely specialize in digital as well, especially in, our illustration department and our graphic design department. Graphic design is, digital,
Hmm.
aside from like the preliminary sketches. And then with illustration, many of our illustration students lean more towards the digital forms of illustration as well. And then, of course, in photography, we have digital and analog photography. And PNCA is very interdisciplinary by nature. And so, you might have a student who is a photographer, but they're in the printmaking studio doing, photographers of their photography. Or you might have, an illustration student that is in the sculpture studio because they're working
Mm.
on soft sculptures. So the school is very interdisciplinary and much more so than some other art schools out there, I would say.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. If a student were interested in applying for PNCA, what sort of things would they need to do? Like, do you need a great SAT score and your GPA is high and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do not consider SAT or ACT scores. So students who are applying to PNCA are very focused on working on developing their portfolio. So we work with students, all the way back to freshman, sophomore year in high school, and of course, even more so juniors and seniors to help them get ready to apply to PNCA because we require a portfolio. And so a portfolio needs to consist of 10 to 15 pieces of their strongest work. So that could be, whatever type of medium they're interested in, but we do require 3 drawings from observation, and then the rest can be kind of, like I said, whatever they're interested in, their strongest work. And we, as the admissions team, we work with students and give them portfolio reviews very often. We meet with students all the time, both at PNCA and when we're out recruiting on the road. We attend all the national portfolio days as well, which are public events where students can attend, and they can meet with all of the different art colleges across the country, get feedback on their portfolio, learn more about what each school is looking for. And so at PNCA, we try to provide as many opportunities as we can for students to get feedback on their work before they're actually ready to submit the portfolio aspect of their application. So our application consists of the portfolio, of course, which is super important, along with transcripts. So GPA is also really, really important, right? Because that's how we can see, is this student going to be successful in their liberal arts courses and their studio arts courses? So GPA. And then also essay. Our essay is an artist statement. And that's really where we learn more about who is this student, what is their artistic vision, and what will they gain from an art education. It just kind of gives us more insight as to who they are and what their vision is. And so aside from that, that's what they need to submit their application. And then we also consider interest as well. So has a student come in for a tour at PNCA? Are they very communicative? Have they taken the time to get a portfolio review? That's important as well in the application.
That makes all the sense in the world. So the program itself, it sounds like it's not just pure art. You also have to take regular classes. Is that through Willamette, or do you have your own, like, how does that work? How do you fit into the larger system?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a BFA degree, and this is how I like to explain it to students who are kind of deciding between, do I want a BFA degree? Do I want a BA degree? What is it really that I'm looking for? So a BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, is typically how you can think of it is it's 2/3 studio arts and 1/3 liberal arts. So we're fully accredited, nonprofit. It's a bachelor's degree. So you do need to take some liberal arts courses along with the studio arts courses. But with a BFA, you get to spend much more time in the studio actually making art. And then we kind of view the liberal arts as an enrichment to the studio arts. So you're supporting your studio art practice by taking, math classes that are specifically designed for artists. There's art history requirements, of course, and there are liberal arts electives as well, which is fun for students to kind of be able to tailor their own unique interests to their art practice. And then a BA degree, so Bachelor of Arts, is going to be the reverse. So 1/3 studio arts, 2/3 liberal arts. So it really, it's of course up to the individual student and what they're looking for. But a student who really wants to become a full-time artist and practicing artist or designer, a BFA is definitely the way to go, because you get much more time in the studio, perfecting your craft and learning from professional faculty. And so that's kind of the main difference. Now, the liberal arts classes at PNCA, they are at PNCA in our campus.
Okay.
So all students who attend PNCA, you know, they take classes at our campus at PNCA. We do have some faculty who will kind of teach back and forth. Some of our faculty in Salem at the College of Arts and Sciences will come up and teach liberal arts courses at PNCA, and some of our PNCA faculty will teach studio arts courses down in Salem. And so there is a lot of kind of cross-pollination between faculty and classes right now in that sense. But we don't require students to drive down to Salem or
I suppose that makes
drive up
sense.
to
Yeah.
Portland. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I hadn't put the pieces together, but that'd be a considerable drive.
Yeah. It's about an hour. Yeah. Without traffic.
Yeah. Without traffic is key.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned another organization that sounds like it's broader, like encompassing all arts or more art schools. Tell me about that and remind me of what that acronym was.
Yeah, so I mentioned a couple. So ACAD is the Association of Independent Colleges of Art and Design, and PNCA is part of the larger ACAD consortium. ACAD is both in the United States and international, and so I always tell students when students are considering an art school, you always just want to look and make sure that it's an ACAD school. ACAD schools need to be nonprofit, they need to be accredited, and you know they need to follow kind of certain guidelines within you know the art education realm. And so, and like I said, PNC is part of the ACAD system. And then the other acronym I think I mentioned was NPDA, which is National Portfolio Day Association.
Oh, yeah.
So PNC is also part of NPDA. And National Portfolio Day Association is the organization who puts on all of the national portfolio days that I mentioned earlier across the country and internationally. And so we attend most of those. They're in most major cities. So there's, you know, we host the NPD in Portland. There's one in LA, San Francisco, Seattle, San Diego, and then all across the United States. And so that's a really, really good opportunity for students in those areas who are interested in attending art schools to go and get feedback on their portfolio and kind of learn about each institution to try to find the right fit.
Yeah. I'm based in the LA area. Would Cal Arts be one of those schools that is associated with it? I think there's a few
Exactly.
others. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So when people finish the program, and you'd mentioned that there's the regular Bachelor of Arts and then there's the Bachelor of Fine Arts. Do you have a sense of what people go on and do? Like, is there do they go on and live an artist's life, or are they like trying to find work here and there with graphic design and other sort of more I don't know what you'd say, like not necessarily artistic, but I don't know what the right word is, but like where it's you're selling your skill rather than doing what you feel like doing. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So that's a great question, and it vastly depends on what major the student chooses, right? So if a student is in illustration or graphic design, since those are more client-based and client-focused majors, those students are more likely to go on and work in an agency, you know, work in a design agency, or do freelance design, or do a combination of both. Or if a student is more interested in the studio art route, you know, painting, general fine arts, sculpture, etc., those students tend to focus more on, you know, are they working in a gallery, or are they going the curatorial route, or maybe they're also doing freelance, you know, studio-based art as well. The really nice thing about PNCA is that we have such a supportive office of career design for students. students in certain majors are actually required to have an internship before they graduate.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So those are the more client-based design focused majors, but it's strongly recommended for students in every single major. And so the benefit of that is that once a student graduates, they're not entering the world with nothing on their resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have something to show for. And our Office of Career Design helps match students with internships that kind of mesh well with their interests. And there's also tons of job opportunities. There's a job board that they run. They also host tons and tons of workshops for students, which are really helpful. They'll host workshops about like grant writing if students are interested in writing grants for their work, or taxes for artists, because of course for a freelance artist, you have to consider taxes are going to come up every year, and it looks very different for someone who's a freelance artist versus someone who's working full time at an agency. And so taxes are important for people to know. There's social media workshops on like how to kind of spiff up your Instagram or your web presence overall. They will help with your resume, they'll help with your cover letter, and they will actually support students as alumni as well. So once students graduate PNCA, they have full access to the Office of Career Design basically forever. So let's say, 20 years down the road, they're kind of looking for a new job or they're looking to switch careers, they can meet with our career design office and get guidance and get help with their resume. So that support never ends, which is really, really nice and quite unique too, in my experience.
So can you talk to me about the campus and what the campus is like and the facilities, what the campus experience is?
Definitely. So PNCA is, I would say what's unique is that we are such a strong collaborative community of artists. There is nothing more exciting than the first day of school, where students are back on campus and the campus is just buzzing with students running around with their portfolios, and they're just as excited as we are, to be back in the space and in this building, because it's a really inspiring space to be in. It's also a historical landmark. And the fun thing about the campus is that the whole entire space is kind of like a gallery. And so students are able to project their images on the ceilings, or on the walls. They're able to do performance art in the space that you can see behind me. And so it's just a very vibrant, bustling space for creativity. There's also a lot of student activities that happen that our student affairs department will host for students. So they'll go on trips to the coast, or they'll if you're part of the outdoor club, they'll go on hikes or do yoga. There are tons of extracurricular activities. Although we don't have sports teams, there are a lot of fun clubs that students can join on campus as well.
I was going to ask, like, what sort of sports do you offer? And it sounds like maybe none, except for, I would imagine people do play pickup basketball or intramural sports. I suppose that's just natural too.
Yeah, exactly. We do have some basketball courts across the street in the park blocks that students are welcome to use. And then we have the outdoor club that's really popular. And then students will take trips to the coast or up to the mountains. So although there aren't like official sports teams, there are a lot of opportunities for students to kind of adventure and get outside. Although there's not a ton of time. There's a lot of homework and a lot of studio time that's required for students. So most of the time is spent actually making work in their studios.
Although Portland has an advantage, at least from what I've visited, it's like you're really close to all sorts of wonderful natural beauty, and the city itself is a wonderful place to be in too, I would imagine.
Exactly. It's kind of located in an ideal spot, right? We are an urban campus. So we are within very close proximity to all the galleries and design firms and animation studios in the area. But if you want to get out in nature and go for a hike, there's the forest is, 2.5 miles away. Forest Park is about 22 miles long. It's one of the largest urban forests in the country. And there's Mount Hood, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours away. There's the coast, which is an hour and a half away to the west. And so there's tons of natural beauty in the area. So it's kind of that perfect balance of, if you're going to be an artist, you need to be in a bigger city to get that exposure and to get those internships. But you also have the nice balance of getting to go and be in nature, go for a hike and see the beauty of the area.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, what have the trends been like for admissions in the last few years? I imagine COVID threw a big bomb in all sorts of things that you're doing. Have you kind of recovered, and what sort of things might people want to know if they're interested in applying?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, the pandemic definitely, it affected all of higher ed. I don't think anybody came out
No.
unaffected. But for art schools specifically, it was difficult all around because, students were not able to have that studio time in high school or in their community college that they would normally have. So a lot of our applicants throughout the thick of the pandemic just didn't have the same access to, to their studio art teachers, and they weren't able to make the same amount of work that they otherwise would have been able to if they did have more time in their art classrooms. And so we did see kind of a shift in portfolios for a little while. Luckily, we're back now in full force. This last cycle, we had a very exceptional group of applicants, and you could really see that was really the first class that we have had in the last couple of years that did have more time in the studio, and they were able to spend more time working on drawings and paintings and other projects. And so we are back. We exceeded our goals this cycle, which is really exciting. But what I would say for students who are planning on applying or thinking about applying in spring or fall 2024 or the future is to just really take advantage of those studio art classes that are offered at your high school or your community college. It's really valuable to kind of have that space to make the work that you want to make for your portfolio and to have the guidance of your art teachers throughout that process as well. It's extremely valuable.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad things are back. I
Me
know.
too.
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine doing Zoom classes when you're an artist. It just
Yeah.
seems miserable.
It's another level of challenge, definitely. Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have to deal with that all the time anymore. So Anna, is there anything else you want to leave us with before we sign off? Anything that I missed or that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah. I would just say that Portland is such a special place and such a special city, especially for someone who is, wanting to prepare for a life of creative practice and be successful. I think being in this city that's has kind of such a vibrant cultural ecosystem is really valuable. And being in such a strong community of artists who are supportive of each other, I think is also very unique as well. The aspect of critique that you get at PNCA really does prepare you for your next step once you graduate, because critique is part of life. And all employers, I constantly hear this. Even employers and companies who aren't directly related to the arts, everyone is looking for an employee who knows how to think critically, and who knows how to accept and give critique. And one of my old bosses used to say the world needs more creativity, and I just think it's so true, and I think it rings more true even now. And so I would just say that PNCA is a very special place, and if you can visit, you should.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like you can get a lot just from visiting the campus and seeing what the students have, the current students have done.
Absolutely.
So how would someone find out more about PNCA, and maybe your information if they want to get a hold of you directly?
Yes. So I would say check out our website. It's pnca.willamette.edu. You can also email me, A Miltenberger, that's Miltenberger @willamette.edu. And I'll just throw out my landline as well. If my email was too much to remember, it's 503-821-8973. But I think the best way is to check out our website, pnca.willamette.edu. And you can learn more about our majors, the application process, scheduling a tour, or even just meeting with your admissions counselor online or in person as well.
Fantastic. Well, I'm very excited to hear all about PNCA, and I wonder if the next time I do a road trip through Portland, if I might stop and see what you all are up to and say hi.
You should.
So, all right, I'll sign off, and thank you so much, Anna. And I know our audience appreciated hearing from you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening.